Hello students, good morning. Today we are going to see the functional units of a computer system. There are 5 basic functional units of a computer. They are an input unit, a processing unit, a memory unit, a controlling unit, and an output unit. This is the diagram for the basic functional unit of a computer. Input device, CPU, and CPU consists of ALU and control unit, memory unit, and an output device. Let us see all the units one by one. Input device. The inputs are accepted with the help of input units such as keyboard, mouse, touchpad, and joystick. The keyboard has its own processor and circuitry that carries information to and from the processor. The key matrix is a grid of circuits below the keys, that is underneath the keys. Each key on the keyboard has an associated number called scan code. This scan code is sent to the computer as a binary number. Keyboard. The route through which the scan codes are feeding to the computer is depend on how the keyboard is connected to the computer. If it is attached by a USB cable, it will go through the USB port. If the keyboard is connected by Bluetooth, it will go through the Bluetooth receiver. When a key is pressed, the key switch closes and current flows into a small chip in the keyboard. Once the circuit is closed, the keyboard processor compares the location of that key in the key matrix to the character map in its read-only memory, that is ROM. The character map is basically a comparison chart or lookup table. It tells the keyboard processor the position of each key in the matrix and what each keystroke or combination of keystroke represents. Keyboard controller. The keyboard controller is a device that interfaces a keyboard to the computer. Its main function is to inform the computer when a key is pressed or released. When data from the keyboard arrives, the controller raises a keyboard interrupt to allow the CPU to handle the interrupt, to handle the input. Microcontroller. The keyboard controller is not directly connected to the keys in the keyboard of desktop computers. So the keyboard controller receives scan codes from a microcontroller, which is embedded in the keyboard via some kind of serial interface. Scan code. What is scan code? A scan code is a data which will be sent to the computer when a key is pressed. Each key on the keyboard is associated with a scan code. This scan code is sent into the computer as a binary number. The keyboard scan codes are different on different keyboards, like window-based keyboards or non-window-based keyboards. Let us see the keyboard scan codes. For example, if you press the function keys from F11 to F15, the following are the scan codes that will be sent to the computer. See the function keys F11, F12, F3, F13, F14, and F15. Keyboard, take the Japanese keyboard, Japanese 86106 keyboard. The scan codes are 70, 73, 79, 7B, 70. That is, if you press F11, the scan code sent to the computer is 70. If you press the function key F12, the scan code sent into the computer will be 73, and so on. And take the another keyboard, Cherry G80 077 computer, 0777 computer. Take the same function keys F11 to F15. The scan codes are different. See, if you press F11, the scan code sent into the computer will be 55. And if you press the function key F15, the scan code sent into the computer will be 59. So the scan codes are different for different keyboards. Okay. Anyhow, all these scan codes will be converted into ASCII code by the operating system like Windows, Unix, Linux, etc. Okay. ASCII code. What is ASCII code? ASCII code abbreviated from American Standard Code for Information Interchange. It is a character encoding standard for electronic communication. It is a 7-bit code representing 128 different characters. It is the first character set used between computers on the internet. Scan codes converted into ASCII code. All scan codes will be converted to ASCII code by the underlying operating system. The operating system is constantly checking for the key presses. The operating system must react immediately to key presses, so it has to ready for them for all the time. The operating system will convert the scan code and ASCII code based on the key pressed. Let's see the diagram. Keyboard send the scan code to the operating system, and the operating system converts the scan code into the ASCII code. Event. What is an event? In computing, an event is an action that is recognized and handled by the software. It often originates from the hardware like keyboard, etc. The operating system must send the event to the appropriate application which is currently running. The operating system knows what application is active when the key was pressed, so sends the event to that particular application. Microsoft Word is an application software. It captures the key press event from the operating system when the key is pressed. Microsoft converts the character into an image based on your font choices in Microsoft Word. In Microsoft Word, we can choose our own font, right? Times New Roman. Lot of fonts are there, like whatever the font you want, we may choose. So the Microsoft Word converts the character into the image based on our font choices. It sends this image as a binary representation back to the CPU, which sends it to the GPU. The GPU translates the binary code into that image and displays it on the monitor. GPU stands for the graphics processing unit. How characters are displayed on a screen? A computer system normally stores characters in ASCII code form. Each character is stored using 8 bits of information, giving a total number of 256 different characters. That is 2 to the power of 8 equal to 256. Once the app decides to put the character into display, more than millions of code in operating systems get to run to form the character shape, scale it, and send it to a graphical processing unit, which then renders the characters to the screen display. The ALU. What is ALU? ALU is an arithmetic logical unit. An arithmetic logic unit is a combination digital circuit that performs arithmetic and bitwise operations. It is a fundamental building block of many types of computing circuits, including the central processing unit of computers and graphical and graphics processing units. The inputs to an ALU are the data to be operated on, are called operands, and a code which indicates what action is to be performed. The ALU's output is a result of the performed operation. The ALU carries out basic arithmetic and logical operations, and the control section determines the sequence of operations, including branch instructions that transfer control from one part of a program to another part of the program. ALU is a subsystem of central processing unit. Most of the operations of a CPU are performed by one or more ALUs, which load data from input registers. What is a register? A register is a small amount of storage available as a part of CPU. The ALU stores the result in an output register. Control unit. What is control unit? The control unit tells the ALU what operation to perform on that data. The control unit moves the data between registers, ALU, and memory. Memory. What is memory unit? A memory unit is required to store the programs and also stores the data associated with the program. The memory can be further classified into 3 types: primary memory, secondary memory, and cache memory. What is primary memory? Primary memory is also known as the main memory or random access memory, RAM. It is the fastest accessible memory of the computer. If a program has to be executed, it first needs to be placed in the primary memory. Then the instruction of the program are fetched one at a time by the processor for the execution. The memory is organized in such a way that in one basic operation, one word can be retrieved from memory or one word can be stored in the memory. A word length could be 16, 32, or 64 bits. The primary memory is expensive as well as faster. It is volatile in nature and it does not retain its content when the power is off. RAM. So the execution rate, that is speed of the computer, is depend on the size of the RAM. In olden days, that is 30 to 40 years before, the computers used with the DOS. What is DOS? DOS is nothing but a disk operating system. For the computers with the DOS, the RAM needed was only 64 kilobyte to 4 MB. 4 MB is the maximum size of the RAM needed for the computers running with DOS. Then in 1990s, Microsoft released Windows 95-98 operating system. For the computers with Windows 95-98, the RAM needed is minimum 16 MB to 24 MB, 24 megabytes. RAM is needed for the computers running the operating system Windows 95 and 98. Then Windows 2000 was released in Windows 2000, year 2000, and the RAM needed for running Windows 2000 OS is minimum 128 MB to maximum 4 GB of RAM. Then 2 GB RAM. 2 GB RAM means slow speed, suitable for Windows 7 and 8. It's a standard RAM capacity. Computers running Windows Vista or XP handle only single applications. At a time, it will be able to handle only single applications. So the Windows 7 and 8, 2 GB RAM is enough. Then 4 GB, medium speed, minimum requirement for running Windows 10. Suitable enough for handling an average user's tasks such as web browsing, chatting, Word documents, emailing, etc. etc. 8 GB, high speed, suitable for Windows 10. More suitable for users working with multimedia applications. It can handle multiple programs at a time. Then nowadays we are using high capacity RAM like 12 GB, 16 GB, etc. So speed will be more, and this RAM is suitable for the gaming industry to create gaming softwares, and also suitable for high-end multimedia users. Secondary memory. What is secondary memory? Secondary memory is nothing but the hard disk or pen drive, etc. etc. Secondary memory is the hard disk of the computer system. The secondary memory is slower and less expensive as compared to the primary memory. It does not lose its contents even if the power supply is off. We require secondary memory to store the large volume of data or programs permanently. Cache memory. What is cache memory? Cache memory can be accessed much faster as compared to primary memory, and it is even smaller in size. It is stored with the data that is required frequently by the processor. The instructions that are required to be executed repeatedly are retrieved from the cache memory to improve the execution speed. How a program is loaded from secondary memory into main memory. CPU cannot directly access the secondary memory, that is hard disk or pen drive, etc. Bootloader. Bootloader is needed to load the OS into RAM and load other programs. When a computer system is booted, the BIOS, what is BIOS? Basic input output system in ROM. Copy the bootloader into RAM memory and ask CPU to continue execution from that particular address. Once CPU start executing bootloader, the bootloader calls necessary functions to read from disk and copy the OS kernel into main memory, and then transfer of data is done through the input-output ports. Now OS kernel is loaded into main memory, and so the bootloader asks CPU to jump to kernel's entry point. The kernel set up OS environment, load up necessary drivers like disk driver, CD-ROM driver. After this point, it is up to the OS disk driver whether it can perform input-output port operation or DMA operation to load up data from the secondary storage. Generally, DMA is preferred because it does not involve CPU for pulling up data from the devices. Output device. What is the output device? Monitor, printer, speaker, projector. Monitor. Somebody says monitor is both input or output device, but monitor is output device. The main output device of the computer. Monitor, printer used to print information on paper. Speaker converts digital signals into audible sound waves. Projector, a device that is used to project video output from the computer onto a wall or a screen. Computer monitor. Monitor works by displaying information processed by the computer's video card. The result of the processing displayed by the monitor is called output. The output provides instant feedback by showing you text and graphic images as you work or play. Monitors are commonly called visual display unit VDU. It forms images from tiny dots called pixels that are arranged in a rectangular form. The sharpness of the image depends upon the number of pixels. Older computer monitors used cathode ray tube technology. Printers. Printer is an electromechanical device. It is used to take printouts of any document. That's all. Thank you.